Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we are going to be talking about some post-wano things. And we, as in the person that this channel is really all in front to, you know what I'm saying? I just did this channel just to promote his channel, you know. It's the real GOAT. He ghostwrites all my videos. But introduce yourself, man.
Yo, how's everybody doing? I go by the name Eden's Blue, but all the homies just call me Edens.
Yes,
Thank you, Vor,
yes,
for having me. And you ain't gotta be out here lying, bro. The real fraudulent channel is mine. I get comments all the time asking like, "Yo, Edens, bro, where you at, man? Why you ain't posting the vid? When you coming back, bro?"
Bro,
you already know who the real fraud is.
Cuz, bro, you've been ghostwriting my videos, man. But today we're going to be talking about some post-wano things, and I want to start it off with a question, all right? And this is a pretty important question, all right? What is the thing you're most excited for to happen post-wano specifically?
The thing I am most excited for to find out post-wano is, so I go back and forth on this. Pause. But I'm always having like trouble deciding on what I'm more interested to find out, and it's mostly between what is going on with the warlords, specifically Boa Hancock, because there's just a lot to dive in with that. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, you have Blackbeard, because I would say he and his entire situation is the hardest to figure out, the hardest to like really just theorize on what exactly is he up to right now.
Yes, sir. I definitely. Those are definitely in the front runners for my most thing I'm excited for. Specifically in the Warlords is Weevil, because I want to know like if he's actually going to make it to Marco. But we can get to that a little bit later if you want. But
oh yeah, definitely.
So what do you think? Do you think anything is going to happen with the Grand Fleet post Wano? And it doesn't have to be just right directly out of Wano. It can be in the future. What do you think their move overall after Wano is going to be?
Okay, so we're talking about the Grand Fleet. So we had that whole moment at the end of Dressrosa, like chapter 800, where the Grand Fleet had formed, and you have the narrator talking about how they're gonna be a part of this big, huge event in the future. Now I know some of the fan base for the longest time have been wondering, could that event be Wano? And then you have the other side who thinks that it means more so the final war in the story. And that's kind of where I'm leaning at with the latter. I think that when the Grand Fleet truly becomes relevant, as relevant as they were during Dressrosa, I think we're going to get that in the final war, because I think Dressrosa has parts in it that are like foreshadowing events. That it's a lot of foreshadowing for what I think we'll see in the final war. You have like Luffy, who's leading the charge with all of these people who are under his wing. Or at least who will be under his wing come the final war, going to take down a celestial dragon, where in Dressrosa's case, that was Doflamingo, who completely ran Dressrosa, had the string fruit, controlled everything behind the scenes. And then now you have here in the final war, it'll be Emu, who is basically the same thing, but on a grander scale, which is like worldwide in the world of One Piece.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's when the Grand Fleet will truly become relevant. Right. And it'll just be that moment, very similar to that of Whitebeard during Marineford, where this guy, the most famous pirate around at the time, pulls up to Marine HQ, and then he has all of these pirates under his wing that come and back him up, and you get that real threat of who Whitebeard is when you see just how many people he has who follow his lead. And I think we're gonna get that with Luffy come the final war with the Grand Fleet.
I literally completely agree. And the thing you were talking about in the beginning of your statement with the whole thing with the narrator talking about how like they're going to have some great like impact on this whole thing, grand scheme of things, that's what basically sparked the question. And I completely agree with you. Emu's going to be kind of like the mirror to Doflamingo in his own arc, because like he's not going to be physically pulling strings, but he's going to be pulling strings in like the actual way, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, I completely agree with you. And I don't know if you're a believer in the whole like Luffy splitting the Grand Line thing, but it could also mirror that scene in Dressrosa where he literally like splits Dressrosa in half.
I think it is a strong possibility. It just depends on like, are the ancient weapons going to be involved in destroying the Red Line, or I haven't. That's the beauty about One Piece. I have no idea how this is going to end. but you can think of like 1,000 different scenarios and still somehow be wrong.
Exactly. And like all those thousand scenarios could sound really convincing, like equally as convincing, you know. And it's like you can always just be wrong. That's like the
Exactly,
beauty in all
exactly.
of it, bro.
Now, I will say this: I do, at the very least, believe that Luffy is punching Emu through, at the very minimum, through Pangea Castle and destroying that entire castle. Now, that might be like a domino effect and just also lead into the Red Line being destroyed.
Yeah.
But at the very least, Pangea Castle is going down.
Yeah, exactly. I think yeah. I want to touch on the whole ancient weapons thing as well because that is a very important factor to it because we know what Poseidon is, but Pluton, you know, is supposed to be something that destroys things, you know, on a grand scale, but we still haven't seen it. And I want to ask you, who do you think might come into contact with it, or how do you think that it might actually get revealed?
I'm in the middle of actually trying to work out um, a theory that has to do with events that happened in the Void Century that ties into the Nefertari family, Vivi's family, and why exactly the Gorosei put that label on them as being traitors. Because as far as we know, based on their dialogue, they call them traitors because their family wasn't one of the ones who joined the other 19 families that formed the world government back at the end of the Void Century.
Mm.
But I'm just kind of sitting here wondering, like, there's got to be more to it than just them saying they don't want to be a part of that. Especially considering that they helped create what happened in whatever happened that destroyed the ancient kingdom in the past. Like they helped be a part of that, but all they did was refuse to go to the top of the red line with the rest of the 19 families. And it's like, I can't see them being called traitors just because they didn't want to go there, despite helping create everything they did in the world of One Piece today. So I've been kind of pondering on this idea that after helping the 19 families, the Celestial Dragons, defeat the Ancient Kingdom,
Yeah.
which probably in some way had something to do with ancient weapons back then, I've been wondering on, could they have been in control of Pluton at the time back then, specifically the Nefertari family. And after they succeeded in taking down the Ancient Kingdom, in order to prevent the Celestial Dragons and Emu from getting even more powerful than they need to be, they decided to stick to themselves and hold on to Pluton in order to keep it out of their hands, to prevent them from just getting a little too powerful for their own good. And kind of like doing it in like a checks and balances kind of way for, you know, those who, you know, study like government and school and all that. What I mean is that like they in order to keep the Celestial Dragons in check, they kind of pretend that, you know, like, put it like this, they're like, we have Pluton over here just to make sure, like, you know, y'all don't get out of line with whatever grand scheme of whatever else y'all try to do in the future. You know, we got Pluton over here to keep y'all in check from getting a little too crazy. So, you know, and maybe on Emu side they have Uranus, so it's like they kind of like balance out right there. And you know, that's kind of what has me wondering why they're considered traitors, because they kind of like using one of the ancient weapons against them as a threat to tell them like, y'all can do y'all thing, but if y'all get a little too crazy, we have Pluton right here to keep y'all in check.
Right, we
Kind
have
of
something
like that.
Okay. I never thought about that. I really like that. Continue.
And it's just like, and the reason why I think that is because, you know, I'm in the camp that believes we're gonna find out Vivi is Pluton, or at least the catalyst to activating Pluton.
Okay.
And given the parallels that we have with Shirahoshi and the former Poseidon apparently being another mermaid princess, I would have to assume it's the same case with Vivi, where in the past it was a member of the Nefertari family, someone who was very close with them, which is why they were able to have such a handle on Pluton and be able to like supposedly keep it, I'm assuming, in Alabasta, just based off what we know.
Okay, I really like that. That would explain why Vivi is such a high priority and one of the lights that needs to be extinguished as well. And like the whole Emu thing, the whole Emu chapter and everything.
Exactly.
Because, you know, like many people have allied for with Luffy and you know the Straw Hats and everything, but her being you know an actual ancient weapon or something like very close to it, would it just bring the like put the cherry on top as to why it's such you know a high priority? Because like yeah, they are you know a very like royal family, but like they kind of cut ties a while ago, you know. So like
Yeah.
there's been like many different people that could have been a candidate, you know, did what Vivi did in the story, but it's just like I've always felt like there was another reason behind it, and I just didn't know that, and that kind of just sparked something in my head.
And that's also why everything I just said about like the previous Pluton and the Nefertaris of the past kind of like having a hold on it. I think that's also why you see during the Reverie Emu have such a strong interest in Vivi, because maybe in Emu's eyes they're thinking that, yo, this is the best opportunity I'm gonna have in order to get Pluton back and under our and back in our control.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. Because we have the whole idea that Cobra is dead. Vivi has been potentially captured based off Emu's interest in her.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of where it's all leading to. I think that's might be the reason why, like I said, everything about the voice entry in the past and all that.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna definitely have to talk to you more about that like Vivi ancient weapon thing, because that's something I like literally never considered. I think I heard like someone say it, but they didn't really give as much, you know, in depth like you know explanation to it as you did. So I definitely need to talk to you about it. But on the topic, since we're already you know kind of close to it, I want to kind of transition over to the Reverie. All right. Is there anything in particular that you think or have strong feelings about that you think will happen?
Oh man. So man, that's tough. So I know people aren't fond of the whole Marineford 2.0 idea.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we're necessarily going to get that. It's just like, so we have Sabo, right? So there's just so many different things to just think about with him.
Yeah.
Recently, I had been thinking of the idea that if Sabo is captured, we're gonna get some kind of moment where he's like maybe in like a torture chamber, just being interrogated by Rob Lucci. The reason I think that is because, or at least that's one route I can see this heading down. And the reason I think that is because you had that moment where Rob Lucci was in contact with CP0's members and was telling them the ships are coming to Wano. But based off Rob Lucci's dialogue, it left me with the impression that he's not coming to Wano like how some people thought.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, we were talking about that. Like, he referred to the ships as if he wasn't on them. He was like, you know, them ships or something like that. So yeah, we're all
exactly.
definitely on the same boat. We were like discussing and everything. I don't think he's coming to Wano.
Right. So that had me wondering if Rob Lucci isn't coming to Wano, what else could he be doing? And it was, I just thought about it. I'm like, well, where was the last place we saw Rob Lucci before that chapter? That was at the Reverie. Where was the last place we saw Sabo? At the Reverie.
Yep.
We know they're in the same place. We know there's that whole thing about Rob Lucci trying to track down like the revolutionary armies back at Dressrosa and all that. A lot of people in the fan base believe that those two will be connected in some way. And I think what better moment could it be than potentially Sabo being captured and being questioned by Rob Lucci, who we have already seen kind of that be like in his ballpark with his job. If you go back and look at Water 7, what they were doing to Iceberg, interrogating him in order to get questions on where's Pluton, the blueprints for it and all that.
Yep.
So I kind of see that being the same case with Sabo, where they're questioning him on the Revolutionary Army's plans. That's one route. And it's also just like, you look at the dialogue from other characters like Blackbeard, for example. All we know is that they attempted to save Kuma. So, based off Blackbeard's dialogue, it doesn't look like Sabo's side mission in saving Kuma succeeded, because that's the thing. A lot of people forget that saving Kuma wasn't even really in the plan.
Yeah.
That was just Sabo, and the whole thing was just to go to the meeting, declare, let it be known to all of these kings that y'all are declaring war on the Celestial Dragons.
Yep.
And then get out there.
Exactly.
The whole Kuma thing wasn't even in the agenda.
Exactly. I completely agree. And I think, bro, it's been set up to me, like me personally, that Sabo was gonna at the very, very least clash with Lucci, because like if you think about it, Oda specifically put Sabo and Dressrosa alone. I think there was like one other member of the Revolutionaries, the woman or whatever. I think what
Yeah, Stussy.
Koala? Oh, Stussy, right? Yeah,
I'm sorry. Stussy is CP0.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Revolutionary Army is Koala.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Her
and he
and
was on Kamabaka Island. I think I'm saying that right with the
yeah,
dragon and others.
yep. And like, I think it was only him and her, right, at Dressrosa.
Yeah, it was the main members anyway. Like the person who are actual characters. It was Sabo, Koala, and then the fisherman who they were with. His name escapes me at the moment.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So I think like he was obviously like the heavy hitter of that group, the kind of like leader of that group, and I think he specifically put him there because he put Lucci in there like at the end of the arc, specifically tracking him down, basically alone as well, like with only Spondum there. I think
Yep.
it's been set up. Also, I know this may be a reach, but they clash in the movie. So like ever since I seen that, I was like, yo, I gotta see this in the manga, man. Like I have to see it, bro.
It's not a crazy possibility, man. It's not crazy. Like there's ties there to make it sound like very plausible.
Yep, exactly. And also, there's this Vivi code which I will send to you in the translation. It basically the CP0 thing with Lucci and everything. It says offense and defense against the Revolutionary Army. I was smarted in failing to obtain the trafficking list. The Revolutionary Army, which is plotting to overthrow the Tenryabito, is a natural enemy. So like you have like the fighter or like one of the strongest members set up in Dressrosa to be there, and then you have one of the the strongest members of CP0, presumably. Of course, we don't know. And I just think this whole natural enemy thing, is just perfectly setting all this up. So I just have to see this fight, man.
Oh no, bro, I completely understand. And we might actually get it. If Luffy goes to the red line to save Sabo, or if Sabo is just somewhere hiding out in the red on the red line. Because I forgot to bring this up too, but a lot of people also forget that there were 3 other Revolutionary Army commanders there with Sabo.
Yep.
And one of them, Morley, had a devil fruit that allows them to dig like into the earth, like dug into the red line.
Yep.
Like hyped up to be like, I think, indestructible, if I'm not mistaken, or at least like close to it.
Yeah.
But had a devil fruit that could do that. So for all we know, they're still hiding out inside the red line if they haven't escaped already.
Yeah, they could be. And I definitely want to talk like the whole Marineford 2.0 thing, because like I feel like people have this clouded vision because like like Ace died, but like if Sabo gets free with the like amount of hockey mastery he has and the amount of like devil fruit mastery he's gonna have, he's not gonna go out like Sabo because he won't have to save Luffy like Ace did. He won't have to jump in front of attack. Luffy can handle his own now, and I think it would be very cool to actually see this whole tag team between these two brothers and these two fighting styles fully fleshed out again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's something that we'll definitely need. We couldn't really get it during Dressrosa, obviously, for because Sabo was doing his thing, and
Yep.
the only time him and Luffy were really together was when Sabo saved Luffy very briefly.
Exactly.
So having that happen would be great.
Do you have any other things you want to talk about before we switch on to the other topic?
I might in the future, because there's just a lot to like dive into with that. But that's another time for another video that me and you can hash out when we get to it.
Yes, sir. So the next thing I actually want to talk about is Sword, because you mentioned this before we started recording. This was something I didn't even really think about until you mentioned it. But who do you think is in Sword that we haven't gotten actually revealed yet? What do you think their motives are, and anything else you just want to talk about?
All right, so in terms of actual faces here, it's some of the more obvious choices that the community has already assumed at this point. You got guys like Aokiji, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There's that whole similarity between him and Drake about how they both infiltrated Yonko crews.
Yep.
And are doing who knows what. Well, Drake we know, but Aokiji is like, we can assume, but we know it's pretty obvious that there's no way he's actually really trying to help Blackbeard out here.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
some of Blackbeard's men don't believe it, like Burgess, for example.
Yep.
Then you have some of the other candidates like Smoker, probably, who was probably made aware of Sword through Aokiji, for all we know.
Yep.
And then maybe Vegapunk. Maybe Vegapunk.
Okay.
So the reason I say that is because you have Drake, who we find out is a part of Sword. Seems like he's been a part of that even pre-time skip when we now that we know he's really been a Marine the whole time. He had a comment during Saba Odi where he saw the Pacifista replicate not Kuma, where he saw the Pacifista replicate Kizaru's laser.
Yep.
And he has some dialogue there saying like talking about like, yo, I didn't think Vegapunk's stuff advanced this far, kind of implying that he knew Vegapunk was working on something big.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like big information that was being just talked about everywhere among the Marines. Like it was kind of like very low key information.
Yep.
And you know, he kind of implied that there was somebody feeding him that. Of course, we don't know who. So, you know, that has me wondering if, for all we know, Vegapunk himself is a part of Sword, because we have all of the it's not very many, but we have moments in the story where it implies that Vegapunk is in fact a good person.
Yep.
Where he had like morals to some degree, despite, you know, making all of this crazy destructive weaponry like the Pacifista and all that stuff.
Yep.
But it implies from what we hear and what we even see in like the flashback with Caesar that he does have like some kind of good morals to some degree.
Yep.
So for all we know, he doesn't entirely agree with every single thing the world government does. And for all we know, he himself is secretly a member of Sword or has some strong connection to them.
Yep. And another thing on the Drake point is right after that line of dialogue that you had mentioned, Kizaru mentions how, oh, you have some type of secret information. I forgot exactly what he said, but he basically implied that he had some type of secret information, and that is another reason that he had to come here, and he might as well just knock him off while he was, you know, actually inside Baodi. And I think that just strengthens your point even more. And also, I definitely agree that Vegapunk has, you know, some type of morals. I would even say he is a complete good guy who is like he's like kind of captured in a way and held there beyond his will. I think we might have talked about this in the past, but I am definitely under the assumption that Vegapunk is going to be a very nice person, because I think it was around like chapter 400 or something like that, where Kobe, Helmeppo, Garp had first encountered Zoro, Luffy, and the Straw Hats since the beginning of the story. And then he was talking about, oh, how'd you get through, I think, the ground line or something like that. And he was talking about the bottom of his ship had been like specially coated or like some type of technology by Vegapunk. And the way Kobe hyped him up, Vegapunk up, it was just like, okay, hold up. I can't see this dude in a bad light, because like someone like Kobe, if he gets such a bad impression about somebody, he's kind of like Luffy. He's like, he won't just hype somebody up for being a good person if they aren't actually a good person, in my opinion.
Right now, I got you. I think it was like 433. I only remember that because that's when it's like getting real close to the Ace and Blackbeard fight. And you know, Ace is my guy, man. You already know.
Yeah. I gotta rep the Ace, bro. That was like, well, that's my header for YouTube, but that was almost my my Abby. That's my guy. He top 3, man.
Nah, bro, I feel you. But you know, it's other Sword dudes. Obviously, you've got the Sengokus, you've got the Garps, you've got potentially even Helmeppo because of him and Kobe's like being like that duo. Since the beginning of the story, basically. And there's also, you know, shout out to Randy Troy, but the idea that Law might be a part of Sword through Corazon, for all we know, which will be a fire reveal if it does end up being true.
If that is, that would kind of be, Law was a warlord for like 2 seconds, right? So
yeah, basically.
I barely remember that, only because like he brung like all the hearts to the Marine headquarters or something, right?
Yeah. It's implied. I mean, we don't really have a time, but you know, he's probably like a warlord for a good year and a half, something like that.
Yeah. I think. I also want to ask you, because people have pointed to the cover story of this, you know, where this person has a sword tattoo. What do you think about Akainu possibly being a part of it?
Okay, so that is so tough to really just think about, because there's layers with Akainu, right? Yeah. So the reason why I have to just not believe that he is a part of Sword is it's his mindset, the absolute justice thing. Exactly. Like he has just this different mindset from what we know, based off the comparisons to all of these other people who we see are in Sword, or who we can at least assume are in Sword. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. So of course he doesn't necessarily agree with all the moves that the world government does, like the whole thing they did with faking Doflamingo's resignation from being
Exactly.
a warlord. He didn't enjoy that. How a pirate was just able to do as he pleased with them.
Yep.
He felt like that he was being made a fool of that. So I don't know. It just based off his character, it just doesn't seem like he would do well. Actually, I can't even say that because he did shady stuff during Marine Ford with Squad and all that.
Yeah.
But if I just had to assume, I would have to just lean towards no, but I wouldn't rule it out entirely. But it just seems like when we look at certain things in the story about like how like we're not touching Wano, we're not doing all that, but then like we have guys like Drake who is here in Wano for it's just really hard to tell. But then again, for all we know, Akainu even knows about Drake's real identity because if I'm not mistaken, like during Sabaody, you have Kizaru where he sees Drake, and I think he makes a comment where he calls him like by his Marine title, I think it was, or like, but then he was like, oh no, my bad, like no, you're a pirate now, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I think I do remember that. Yeah.
Right. So it's like hard to say if he was just doing Kizaru stuff, trolling him, or he was just like, oh wait, no, right, you're actually on the secret mission that I know of, but I can't spill the beans.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, side note, Drake is really horrible apparently at keeping secrets because if that Kizaru thing is true and he actually does know, that's Kizaru. You got Law who implied that he already knew Drake wasn't the real deal. You got Queen finding out and all that stuff. You got CP0 saying, "Oh yeah, bro, we've been knew who you really were." You can't trust Drake with a secret.
Exactly, bro. This man will get drunk. He was probably off the sake. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, by the way, did I mention?
Yo, that's what I'm saying, man. Just know if you got a secret, Drake is not the person.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you agree like with the Akainu thing because like I do not. Like, I'm obviously not the one to rule anything out. Like, I think anything is a possibility, but I'm strongly against it. The only way I would see the Akainu thing, like, actually planning out is if somehow Aokiji might have talked to him. Like, maybe after they fought, before they fought, or something like that, explained everything to him. Or maybe it was, a little bit after, like, he kind of approached him again. Because go to Fishman Island, basically Jinbei implied that like he kind of had a soft spot for like Aokiji, just from working with him for so long or whatever. And like it's the only dude that we've ever seen Akainu actually like have a soft spot for, Like this man obviously has like I've never seen him really be respectful, like even when he talked with like the Gorosei or whatever, he kind of was like on edge a little bit, but like Aokiji really his dog, so that's the only way I would even like possibly like even think it would happen.
I agree, and it's like there's it's not a widely talked about theory from what I'm aware of, but there's been some ideas thrown out there about could there be more to the 10-day fight on Punk Hazard that we don't know of between those two, where like they decided to work out a deal where Aokiji goes, or the loser I guess would go do like what Aokiji is doing now.
Yeah.
And Akainu and the winner, being Akainu in this case, takes over the Marines.
Yep.
So probably they're secretly working together because so it's moments like this why I can lean towards why Akainu would be in Sword, right?
Yeah.
You have moments like when Akainu goes to go talk to the Gorosei and he's getting on them for the whole Doflamingo fiasco.
Yep.
And their immediate reply is like, yo, like, don't talk to us crazy like that, first of all.
Exactly.
And you got some big problems yourself to be worrying about, like Aokiji, for example. How the hell do you let a dude like that go and work for Blackbeard?
Yep.
And Akainu's reaction to that is like, I could care less about what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
Which is just it's really weird.
So weird, bro. It's like you're just dismissing it. Like, I would understand if he like said something like that hinted towards him like kind of having like some feelings towards them, or like some like just some love, like from working together or whatever. But this man just completely dismissed it. I was like, that's so weird, bro.
Right. And it's just weird too because if I'm not mistaken, it was 698, I think, the very end of Punk Hazard, when Aokiji shows up and he's talking to Smoker after saving him from Doflamingo.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that.
And when they're talking, Smoker is bringing up like, like, yo, bro, you probably been hearing like, you've been up to some shady stuff, even though Doflamingo brings it up. And the first thing that one of the first things that Aokiji brings up to Smoker is like, they're talking about Doflamingo, saying like, keep an eye on him and all that.
Yeah.
But yada yada. But then he tells Akainu, contact. He tells Smoker, contact Akainu and tell him to mobilize the Marines.
Yep.
Or actually, I think it was even to mobilize the admirals specifically.
Yeah.
And because he's saying like things are about to go from bad to worse real fast here. And was saying something like, this is a dire situation that Sakazuki and his new Marines will have to face.
Exactly.
Like, so that was a warning. And then right after that, he was telling everybody like, yo, don't tell nobody I was here.
Exactly. And another interesting thing is he literally told Smoker, he literally says, shh, I'm still the same person, you know what I'm saying? So
right.
He definitely has something going on in the background. And he even told Smoker's men to like be quiet and don't tell anybody, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And it's just like if they are working together, you have to like just give them their props to show like how dedicated they are to getting this job done. So what I mean by that is like look at their bodies. Pause.
Yeah.
Akainu has this huge scar going up the right side of his body and like a piece of his ear chipped off.
Yeah.
And this man Aokiji not only has a huge scar going scars all across his body, one going up like I think like his right hand where he has a glove on it.
Yep.
Man's missing a whole leg. So
Yep.
it's like, they are working together. They were like, yo, if we're gonna do this, we have to commit to this. We can't give nobody a reason to doubt this. Like exactly. Bro, it's like it's just so insane because it's just like, yo, we were fighting here for 10 days. We got to make this look good. We have to like sell this to everybody.
How do you think the Akainu and the Aokiji fight kind of went? Because I feel like a lot of people do try to have their headcanon about it, and that's fine. But I feel like they kind of try to downplay Akainu a little bit, saying like, oh, Aokiji was stronger, but they kind of agreed to basically fake it to everybody and, have something, because it was very related to what you had just said about them having to make it, look convincing and everything. So I wanted to get your take on that.
Okay, so my thoughts on how I believe the Akainu and Aokiji situation turned out, right? All right, so that's tough, right? So I do believe, first off, I clearly believe the fight was serious, right? It's like I don't think those two just stood at Punk Hazard, hung out, and told stories and had drinks for 10 days, and then on the 8th day we're like, all right, let Aokiji's like, all right, I'm gonna let you chop off my leg and give me some scars. Exactly. while I just take off a piece of your ear and give you scars. No way. So that fight was definitely a legit fight, first and foremost, of course.
Yep.
But we know that they were fighting for the Navy for the title of being like the fleet admiral. I think that was something that those two took very seriously.
Yep.
And I kind of just ended up being that guy. He ended up being the winner. It is what it is on that part. We have no way of trying to like kind of like defend Aokiji, just based off the lack of information, because we know nothing about the fight.
Talk to him.
So on one hand, if they did really fight it out, it just is what it was. It was a legit fight. Aokiji lost and just told Akainu, you know what? All right, you got it, but I'm not gonna follow you, because we just have two very different views on justice and how things should be run.
Right.
Because we know Akainu, like from what we're told by Jinbei, Akainu has completely changed the Marines. Like he's really like put his influence on it and made them stronger than what they were in the past. At least that's the what it's implying, at least.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to try to just be a big brain theorist about it, then yes, I would say that those two came to a conclusion, because Aokiji, he's not an idiot.
Exactly.
So even if he did lose, I don't see him being a petty guy, being like, all right, just because I can't be fleet admiral, forget this, I quit.
Yeah.
Like that, like that just seems very childish, and it doesn't just seem like it's Aokiji. Like Aokiji is a guy who seems to like really think about what he's doing and then gambles on it, like how he did with Robin.
Exactly.
I can see it being a scenario where he knew he was beat. He knew that there was no chance of winning, and he decided, I can work a lot best doing my own thing versus having to sit here and follow every single thing you do.
Exactly.
I like that idea because in Aokiji's mind, you know, it's funny actually because when him and Smoker are talking on Punk Hazard, one of the first things we see him say in that conversation is that or it might have been Smoker, but one of them says the world government isn't the end all be all.
Yep.
And Kiji says something along the lines of like, you don't have to be affiliated with the Marines in order to accomplish things in the world, and that there are some things that you can only see with your own eyes when you remain independent.
Exactly.
And you know that allows, and that makes a lot of sense because it means like he can do things like be affiliated with things in the black market, be affiliated with things on the pirate side like Blackbeard, get information that a normal Marine soldier couldn't. Exactly. Because he's like working on that other side and being able to find out a lot more now. And you know, it makes a lot of sense. So I can see that being a scenario where him and Akainu probably talk, and he lets it be known to Akainu that, all right, you know, you won, you're the fleet admiral now, but I'm gonna go do this because I think if I do this, it will be very for both of us in the long run for the Marines. Because Aokiji, he doesn't want to see the world burn. Like he's not gonna just say forget the world because I forget the people because I can't be a fleet admiral.
Exactly.
I think he just took a moment, thought about it, and was like, all right, what's the best way I can be useful to help the Marines and to help like the world still be a safe place?
Yep, exactly.
And he knew right off the bat that working under Akainu's lead isn't going to do that. If anything, it's going to hold me back. It'll be more efficient for me if I just do my own thing and supply that information of what I find out secretly through another Marine to get it to Akainu's. Like, for example, with Smoker, with the whole Doflamingo thing.
Yep, exactly. Yep, I completely agree. I mean, Aokiji is literally like lazy justice. Like he does his own thing. He gets the job done when he needs to, but like he's lazy. And like Jinbei said, basically, even with this like moral standpoint where he has like this laziness with him, he didn't want Akainu in that position of power so much that he was like, all right, yo, I'm really about to fight you. Like, if we have to settle this, I do not want you by any means to be, you know, under you or for you to be ruling over, you know, the world government. Not really ruling, but like over, I guess, the admirals and stuff like that. Being in such a high position as a fleet admiral that he actually fought him.
Like I said, there's just all these things that point to like Akainu does know what Aokiji is up to, or at least like a very vague idea of it. Like he knows Aokiji isn't entirely evil. And another thing too is that going off what you were just previously saying, you know, it's crazy because Aokiji had like the biggest backing you could have to like that fleet admiral. Like
exactly. I forgot
and
about
Goku himself told Kong like, yo, I recommend Aokiji. Yep. Like I want him to be the next guy up.
Yep.
But you know, you had voices, probably some vice admirals and other fodder soldier who were hyping up Akainu for it. So it ended up coming to a stalemate. But you know, that speaks to the level of Aokiji's leadership, to where Sengoku, the previous fleet admiral, was like, yo, like, I want that guy to be next. I want him to take my spot.
Exactly. And another person that probably vouched for him is Garp, because like, didn't he train under Garp for a while?
Yeah. It's implied that like he was under Garp from what we know, or he was at least a big fan of Garp's.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said that he owes Garp.
Okay.
We don't really know what that is. I don't think, but you know, back when he first met Luffy, he said he owed Garp.
Oh, that's interesting. Hey, another video, part 2 on that soon. Yeah, it was a pleasure having you on the channel. You know, like obviously always welcome. Like you the homie. I you know, schedules and everything mess things up, but I definitely have been wanting to do way more stuff than we have. You know, because I think we only have like 1 or 2 collabs. You know.
Bro, I don't wait. Do we have a collab at all?
Yeah, the Kev thing, I think.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. No, I was about to say, I was more so thinking about like, do we have anything that's even out yet right now? This might be the first one that gets out.
Yo, that's fire. Hold up.
But yeah, once again, bro, thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure. Yes, I'm always down to do this. You already know I'm available to talk about this stuff whenever, bro.
Yes, sir. Hey, man. The only YouTuber I don't got beef with, man. I don't like none of these niggas, man. No, I was joking. No, I was like, But yeah, pleasure having you on. And if anybody made it to the end of this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to Eden's Blue channel, hit that notification bell for both of us. Go in that description and hit that Discord link. I don't know if I don't think Eden's has a server, but maybe soon he will have one. So you can talk with him with all the One Piece stuff you want. But until next time, peace.
Later.